Have you ever been clearing out an old handbag or an old suitcase and you come across a ticket stub, a wrapper or a leaf or something else that just instantly floods you with memory? And then, what do you do with that item after that? Do you keep it? Do you chuck it? Do you preserve it? And then how do you keep the memory alive after that time? Hello, my name is Abby Gatling and welcome to Creativity Uncovered. This podcast is a journey for me to uncover how everyday people find inspiration, get inventive and open their imagination. Basically, I want to find how people find creative solutions and then how they use them at home, work, play and everything in between. And my goal for this podcast is that by the end of it, you'll be armed with a whole suite of tried and tested ways to summon creativity the next time that you need it. Today, I'm speaking with illustrator, artist, and mapmaker Sonja Bajic, who basically helps people preserve their precious memories through mapmaking. Welcome, Sonja.
Hi, Abby. I'm very happy to be here.
Sonja has gotten up so early to be on this podcast with me. She's over in Paris, so thank you so much.
Well, I mean, it's early for Paris because nothing starts here before 9. So, but like for them, it's 7:30. I think it's pretty normal time. So all good.
In Australia, we get up so ridiculously early because it's so hot.
I know.
So you wouldn't be surprised if you see someone at 5 or 6 a.m. out and about doing their day. So not for me,
I know.
though.
I mean, we have, I come from Serbia originally, and we have the expression, long as a summer day until noon, which tells you everything because day starts at 5, right? So you have good 7 hours. And I mean, no, but here nothing starts even in summer before 9, 9:30, 10. So this is early, but I'm so happy to be here. So, and I'm happy about the power of internet that we can talk. We're so far away, but hey, we're having a conversation.
So good. And I'm really, really excited for this conversation because before I met you, I didn't really think that maps were something that was still being creative, because for me a map was a factual representation of a place, and it's not every day there's just new places being discovered, so why would there be new maps? But your map making is actually a little different to that, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think that every map is personal, no matter how factual, as you said. I really like how you presented that. It is, places are not discovered anymore. And that's because we learned there's a place and it's a place and that's it. But we all know as humans who are experiencing things that one place, depending on how you feel, how's the weather, how's everything, right, will be a different place in different circumstances. And that is how I approach map making, right, through experiences. Map is not factual for me. For me, map is there to represent experiences of each of us or a community or your dog or whatever it is. Each of us has a perspective of a place. And for me, once you realize that, once you open that Google map thing, where your timeline and you see it, and then your best friend opens and you're looking and it's the same city, same place, but a totally different set of experiences. It's totally different set of emotions. And if you represent it on a map, you have a little art piece basically. So yeah.
It's crazy. It makes so much sense when you say it, but it's not something I naturally would have ever thought about, that a map of your experiences. And it is so unique to each person, as you said, that everyone visits a place with their own perspective and experience and and what takeaways from it. So what does that actually look like, that type of map?
So it looks like an illustrated map, I would say it, but it depends like how I work with the space, because it is working with a space, is I would make a list of the things that I would like to represent in one space. So let's say, if you're drawing a map of food, Paris will look very differently than if you're drawing a map of monuments. Then if you're drawing a map of, I don't know, nightclubs, it's going to look very differently to the map of pharmacies. I mean, I'm like improvising here, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like if you ask me to draw like a map of the places that you would like to represent, you would give me a list and I would talk to you. And when I do custom-made maps and personalized maps, it's very much presenting the place, the moment, the memory as you experienced it. And for me, that's like, I ask usually my clients to send me photos, like tell me, like we meet on Zoom and we just have a conversation about like, what would you like that place to be represented with. Now, when I work with like bigger clients and with like businesses, it's usually very much like we would like to have here like a little pictogram of this or little drawing of that, like, or people like working in the office because we are like opening a new office next to the, I don't know, like High Line or something, right? So it's it gives you like, as now like every person within that office and every client will have a totally different perspective of that place, and that's fascinating, because I draw Paris a lot because I live here, but I drew like from Milwaukee to Sydney, like all the places. So, and it's like you talk to people and the same place is different in everyone's eyes, and I think that's so beautiful because that's that, like it goes back to your like talk about creativity. It's like that innate creativity within humans, like a creativity of experience where you're just like understanding what just happened and it affected you and you wanted to have it on an illustrated map.
Right.
Sorry, this is a long answer to like how those maps look like.
It is, I mean, it's fascinating. So you're still drawing what we essentially consider to be a map. So it's still a location, but you're adding in elements that are significant to a memory or an experience. Is that
Correct.
right?
Correct. Because I do think you have to understand that it's Paris. You will always draw an Eiffel Tower, right? Or you're gonna draw like the Louvre or something that is like, if you want actually to have just to like, there is still like the map of streets. There are still names of the streets, but there are some of the monuments if I decide to put them in, right? But then if I decide to add like some, like my map of like some arrondissement, right, of a part of the city is going to be very different than yours. So let's say you come and you visit and you go to bakery number 1, bakery number 2, you have like, you're reading a book in park 1, right? And maybe I'm going to go to the same places and going to present them on my map, but I'll still going to have the same scheme. Basically, it's a diagram of streets, right? And then I would have like, maybe bakery number 1, but I didn't like bakery number 2, so I would have bakery number 4 and 5 because I eat a lot of croissants. And then I would have also, like a park number 2 instead of your park number 1. It's that, like, it sounds very mathematic, but it's far from that. It's like just very experiential, I'd say that. So yeah, it's very much I present on a map what that place reminds me of.
I mean, that's very cool because, quite often if you're trying to recount a story back to someone, you're like, do you remember when we did that thing and then this happened and that happened? And like, I don't know, I can't remember this. And you go, you ate that really good croissant. And all of a sudden they're thinking, oh my gosh, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
And that's the thing. We do remember places through colors, through taste, through sounds. And we know that from psychology, but this is like, I find it I have like a client at the moment who has like the list of 28 places on her map of Paris because she has been living here for a while, and she just like, I need to send you photos because like you want, like I want you to show that those experiences like on a map in a this or that way. But I mean, I think it's a very nice way to record your memories, basically, right? So you do like, I record my memories. I went to Barcelona, and then I would be like, drawing like little, like imagine Google Map but illustrated, right? With all those little spots, but like instead of like ice cream joint and a dot, you actually have like a cone with like lavender ice cream and I don't know, churros, like flavored ice cream, right? So it's that kind of thing. So it's a very it's playful. It's playful and sentimental.
So you can get quite specific. So instead of being, this is my favorite place where I had ice cream, I had lavender ice cream with,
Yeah.
this on top. Wow, that's very evocative, I can imagine. And so is it just people's holidays that they're trying to get you to capture, or what are people asking for maps for?
So I started drawing maps when I moved to Paris 12 years ago, and I would be like drawing, on the margins. So we didn't have Google Maps, believe it or not, back in the day. So there was a life before Google. And in that life, I would just draw like, oh, gallery opening in that and that street. I would draw a little like map of the streets and like little, I don't know, brush or something, depending on what I saw. And my friends would start like asking me to draw maps of, for example, their life in Paris, right? Because I know a lot of expats and they spend, I don't know, like 2, 3, 5 years here, and they were like, can you draw a map of Paris, of my life in Paris and how it looked like? And then they move further away, and then they basically have map as a part of decoration in their home in, I don't know, Sydney or New York or anywhere, right? Nowadays, I do a lot of maps for like bigger clients, so that it would be like hotels, or it would be the maps of like a local festivals, like like France is big, so there's a lot of like little festivals here and there. And with my B2B, B2C clients, so like private clients, it's very often holidays. Mostly the people who come to Paris and they're like searching for non-tacky souvenir, something that would be like made by an artist, but still like personal and like cute, but not like, like pretentious. So either like those memories, or there are a lot of people who want their, like I do maps as wedding gifts, a lot of them. That's how I drew Sydney, actually, like for a couple, their friends asked me to draw a giant map of Sydney for them. Then I draw also for like big like birthdays, like 50 and 60th birthday. There are a lot of those, like people who traveled, for example, around or lived around the States, right? So they like different places, or people who actually just spent their time, like I drew New York for a friend of mine, her grandmother, like, it was just like a bunch of places where she spent her days, basically, because that is what it is. So like, she's French, she has been living in New York for like very long time, but like, it's still not her city per se, and she wanted all those little joins that, like we all have in our lives, so she wanted that on a map. So it's really big. I There's a lot of different occasions why I draw maps for, but yeah.
Yeah, sounds like you got a lot of variety. So I didn't realize you drew as big as a country. So that obviously is, you don't have streets on the country, right? You've just got,
No,
like, what level of detail do you have in that?
I would draw roads. So you need to have something that would make a map look like map,
Mm.
right? So it would, when I drew the map of the United States, it would, like, you have a shape, you have Mexico down, you have Canada up there, but then like I think those roads actually make map look like map, and like typography would give certain charm. put a little like different textures, right? So it needs to, I mean, you know, it's a creative endeavor. So I want to look I want it to look very pretty. So there's a lot of, you know, that, but like it would be depending on what I'm showing, like if I'm showing a country, like I would draw probably roads. But that being said, I had somewhere on my Instagram, I drew a map of a house. My client's cat died and she wanted a plan of the house. So basically the cat's world, so where she spent her days, right? So in that case, you don't have streets, you don't have roads, you don't have highways. So it was just the plan of the house where the cat slept, where she played, where, so you know, there's a, I mean, any, like my whole motto is like life is a map, because anything can be a map. So
I love that. Life is a map. It's a
life is
beautiful
a
thing.
map. It is. I should put it, this wall is waiting for a lot of art. So I should probably like buy a neon sign that says life is a map.
Life is a map. Yes, yes. That's interesting about the cat thing in the house, because that seems to require quite a lot of creativity on your client's side to even have the idea that this is something that could be turned into a map.
But it really, I think people would have, I mean, you know how creative people are. I really think everybody's creative. I really do think, right? It just depends what they told them in when they were 8 years old, right? You're good at maths, like go, you know, do homework, or like, oh, you like art, go paint, right? So that's how, and then you just either become this or that. But like, I do think that everybody's creative. It just depends on how much you decide to develop it, right? And some of those clients know my work very well. Usually it takes 2 to 6 months for people to actually find a way they want, what they want on a map. So it would very often happen that like you would buy a map for your best friend, right? And she never heard of my work. So she would need time to actually like think what she wants to order from me, right? But like I do try to like putting a lot of things on Instagram and just like being present. I try to show people that like I do really think that anything can be a map. So I'm hoping I'm going to inspire people to find what they really want to show on a map, right? So that cat lady, she was like, yeah, like this just like I really like cat was very precious part of our family, so I really want this. And like that's cat's world. Like it didn't go, you know, there was a little stream and like a tree outside of the house, but the rest of it, that's the limits of her world. So I mean, it really depends who I'm working with. Some people are just like, they just send me the list of the things that they experienced in, I don't know, like Paris, right? So you just draw that and then you make it look very creative. But like, I do always try to invite people to be playful, because I think we forget to be playful. So, yeah, it can be as creative as you want or not. You know, I like if you're not, if you don't think you're creative, I'll try to help you with that. And if you send me like something quirky, I'll find a way to present that as well. So yeah.
That's cool. Do you find it hard to draw places that you have never been? So that, for example, the map of Sydney. Have you ever been to Sydney before, or do you have frame of reference for drawing that? Or how do you get
I've,
into that zone?
yeah, I've been to Sydney, but I had like, for example, to draw Milwaukee and like a couple of the cities in the States that, oh, Abby, I found it fascinating because then I have a good excuse to watch all the YouTube videos about that place. So because you know, you cannot only just draw a map of the streets, you actually need to understand the general vibe, right? So southern city is going to look very different to the cities in the north, right? So, and for me, that is like I watched so many videos about Milwaukee that I was just like, I want to go to Milwaukee. This is it. Like it's so cool because like you know, it's a nice tourist videos on that you can find on YouTube and like, and then when you watch, I don't know, Criminal Minds or something where there's a place in the States that you drew, you're like, oh, I know this place, you know, so you get excited. But it's No, it's not hard to draw. It's because I'm trained as a urban planner and architect, so I'm just like, you approach place from a technical point, right? And then to understand it better, you just do like little research. I mean, little research, 4 hours, 5 hours of actually like the place. And then, you go on Instagram and see all those little photos and like what are the most important places. And then you go inside of the museums of local places. So I really like that. I'm very curious. So for me, it's a beautiful process that makes me very happy. So yeah.
Wow, so there's a lot of research and exploration that goes on before you even start to put pen to paper.
Yeah, it would be like there's that part where I'm actually asking from clients to give me what they like really want to be presented on a map. And like, it's like I am a person sitting in Paris, so it's a bit of like I like Zoom calls. I like talking to them just to see them that I'm like flesh and blood and that I really want their photos so I can present it really well on the map, right? There's that part, and then there's the part where you actually, yeah, you really research and you really write things down, and you want to understand the vibe of the city so you can get inspired as well, right? It's like it's not only just presenting place well, but like I want this place to inspire me, and any place have power to do that if you search deep enough. And I think that's the beauty of exploration. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that you kind of feel like you could be traveling around the world while you're doing all these different things, but you're in your studio in Paris, just
Yeah,
getting to explore it all. That's
it's
really
a
cool.
dream. It's a dream, right? Like, like when we were kids, you buy National Geographic and you look at all those birds. It's like very similar things. So you're just like, oh, look at this. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful process. It takes time, but it's a good excuse to travel. And I mean, one of my favorite things is going on Google Maps, when you have street view. So actually seeing the little houses and all of that. So and how people are dressed up, because usually head is blurred, but you see what people are wearing, on the Google Street Map. So it's funny. Yeah.
There's a fair amount of stalking that goes on as well. I won't tell anyone. Luckily, this isn't being broadcast anywhere. Ooh. So tell me, I feel like the cat thing. I keep going back to that because that just seems like such a cool concept for a map, and I could totally see myself doing that for my dog or whatever. But what is the what's the weirdest map that you've been asked to draw?
Hmm, great question. There's no, yeah, map, like the cat map is very cute, right? But like there were not many really weird things. There's usually some parts of the map, some locations, some moments, some emotions that would go into a map, and you'd be like, you would draw that, right? It's because it's very personalized, so you would have people having something in their head and wanting you to present something the way they see the place. And it's I mean, it's not really weird, it's just the way, like you'd be like, but that's not, I understand it's your map, but how to present that in that sense, it's impossible. Like people would ask for impossible ways to present things, so to say, right? So they would ask me to, for example, they would like a map of Paris, and like everything is happening in one neighborhood. So I would draw everything in one neighborhood, and they would be like, no, but we want a whole map of Paris. So like I would be like, but that you have nothing around and just that. But there would no, I don't have any like weird stories to tell you like about the um like overall map, right? So it wasn't like I do like maybe the most interesting things that I do is there's a cocktail bar in Paris that every 6 months changes the menu. It's like one of those speakeasy places. It's called Bluebird. It's really pretty, and they have a map of cocktails, right? That is like accordion. That's how the menu look like. I think you would love this. So, and then in the middle of the of that accordion, that is where their main cocktail, the signature cocktail is. And then to the right is more alcohol, to the left is less alcohol, up is richer, down is like less rich, right? And then you have cocktails all around that map. It's more of a diagram, right? But usually we use those two lines as roads, right? And then we would be like, the theme for these next 6 months is Texas, or the theme for the next 6 months is Japan. So basically, I would use the menu and all the cocktail names to represent a map of a place. It sounds very meta, but it's very cute. And we started from Texas, right? No, from like California, Arizona, that area. So that was the first map. I mean, but it's not a place, it's just the vibe. And then we went all the way to universe. So I think we're now at the end of our journey where there's like everything exploded and the map doesn't look like map anymore. It's more of a menu. So but that is I wouldn't say weird, but that is something that was interesting, to see the journey of how the client thought of what he wants to represent. It was two guys, and then all the way to the map where I represent something. So yeah, but sorry,
Yeah.
no weird stories, no kinky stories, nothing.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, we're weird in the, I guess, lateral thinking sense, and that certainly covers that off. That, yeah, the map of the flavors and linking that to cities and stuff. That's really cool. And also, when we were speaking the last time, you were talking about the connection between maps and writing, and you're doing a writing tour. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, that was fantastic. Okay, you're talking about, no, because I do a lot of writing and nobody sees my writing except on Substack where I talk about Paris and what moves me. But it's good. Yeah. So I went down to Provence in a month ago. It was exactly a month ago. And I was teaching a workshop to 20 Australian women that were traveling around France. Right. So they would experiencing their life in Paris through writing, right? And there was a woman from Melbourne who was basically doing writing retreat workshops, so all of that. So I met them in Paris, and then I went down to Provence, and it was such an incredibly inspiring crowd of women, because writers with a lot of ideas, with a lot of and you're in France and it's just beginning of the fall, and autumn is the beautiful season here, so they're all very inspired by everything they're writing. And then what I was teaching, I teach creativity workshops, it's map making workshops, and basically we are moving the whole perspective from place where you sit and write. We came to the perspective where you actually sit and draw, right? So we did the whole map making workshop was about the same experiences that they wrote about for probably 7, 8, 10 days, but now they had a chance actually to represent their experiences through a drawing. And I find it very funny because you come in front of the adults, because I do this with kids as well, but you come in front of adults and people freak out because they're like, I don't know how to draw. What have you been drawing a map? That sounds so scary. And then they sit and you see that they're just they've woken up that little kid, that has been dormant for so many years, right? Or would appear every now and then. And basically they drew their map. So there were 18 of them, and 18 of them did, Abby, fantastic job. I was so impressed. It was so good. So some of them were traveling Rome, Paris, and then Australia. So they presented that. Some of them were traveling around Europe before or after. So they would leave a space for when they can actually add something on their map. But there was not one single person that was just oh, I don't know how to draw, I'm not going to do this. So I have like it lasts 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So the first hour and a half, we actually talk about experiences, and that whole writing thing is a place where like we because like that's not scary for any of us, right? We sit down and I give exercises and we develop those like through writing, and then your creative like muscle is woken and like it's like ready to go. And then I give them colors like watercolors and gouache and like whatever I have so much material around me, so I just bring them that and I'm just like, use it, like no mistakes. The only rule is that there's no eraser, because I just want them to like make mistakes in paint. And it's fascinating. It's really like I am so happy to see that like spark in them, when they participate in my workshop. So I am having on Substack right now. It's called Map Your Days. Like until the end of the year, I'm gonna have, it's a free challenge, it's little prompts from my workshops that I just write about, and I'm actually inviting my readers and people who follow me just to like join us in the creative endeavor, because I think it's just we need to more, like I think the creativity is antidote to everything happening around us, so it's healthy for us to find a way to break from the news and the loop of the bad news. So yeah, come join us.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'll definitely pop your link to your Substack in our show notes so anyone can find that. But I love that. It sounds like a really non-confronting, non-scary way to, yeah, as you said, reawaken that inner child and just start doodling and start drawing. I think that's really cool. And
And it's
I
funny
think,
because everybody loves that. You have from the
yeah.
doctors and like surgeons to like actually creatives, writers, and everybody's enjoying it in the same way. And you're like, oh, so good.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like we just need more excuses to actually just do that and have fun and play around with it.
Yeah.
Um, I think what's really cool about your story is that this map making seems to be a really cool like culmination of all your experiences. You said you're an urban planner, you're also an illustrator, and it's coming together in this really cool way that is just helping other people relive their memories, and that's really sweet. I like that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it is as you said, it's a culmination, it's a good explanation of my life and everything, that I, not living in my own country and like living around and all of that. And it's just like I do like generally like the experience is very important for me. Like it is like I want people to have good experiences, right? I mean, if they're like communicating with me or like in life generally, I mean, it sounds like very well, obviously, but like I like it's something that is just like, so I love experiencing new things, right? And yeah, they can be good, they can be bad, but I think putting them on a map is like seeing your life and what you did and how you spent time. And it's just like, it's all fascinating, because it's such a simple way to present something, and like even if you live in the same street or your life, you do things differently in different parts of your life. And I think that's like when you just thinking about that makes me feel like warm and fuzzy, so and that's the whole idea to, I'm hoping that those maps make people feel warm and fuzzy.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And I'm so intrigued by the idea of everything's a map. I'm gonna have to start thinking about what I can map out as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think designers are really good at drawing diagrams, right? So it's a try, like I usually tell to my designer friends, like go and try like presenting something as diagram, and then you will loosen up, and at some point you're going to be start drawing maps, because it's fascinating. So, but thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy that we had this talk. So and yeah. Thanks for all the questions. They made me think. Early in the morning in Paris.
You did very well for so early in the morning. No,
I don't know if you noticed, but I actually have 2 cups.
No, are they
One is
empty now?
coffee, one is tea, because I just like
Prepared for all situations. No, I
it's
appreciate.
stimulant.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you getting up early and making the time for me. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned into this episode of Creativity Uncovered. I hope that this episode has inspired you to start and just try and doodle, and if not, the reflection of, reflecting on your life and significant moments will be a great experience anyway. And I also hope that it helps you summon your creativity the next time that you need it. If you've made it this far, a huge thank you for your support and tuning into today's episode. Creativity Uncovered has been lovingly recorded on the land of the Cubby Cubby people, and we pay our respect to elders past, present, and emerging. This podcast has been produced by my amazing team here at Crisp Communications, and the music you just heard was composed by James Gatling. If you liked this episode, please do share it around and help us on our mission to unlock more creativity in this world. You can also hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episode releases.